Good day, everyone. We are the third group and we will present setting JavaScript in HTML. In this video, we will discuss about the difference of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and also further explain the HTML script and no script tags, the different file paths, and finally, the JavaScript internal or inline and external. JavaScript is a scripting or programming language that allows you to implement complex features on web pages. Every time a web page does more than just sit there and display static information for you to look at, like displaying timely content updates, interactive maps, animates 2D or 3D graphics, or scrolling video jukebox, you can bet that JavaScript is probably involved. JavaScript is a third layer of the layered cake of standard web technologies, two of which are HTML and CSS. So, what is the difference of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? HTML is the markup language that we use to structure and give meaning to our web content. For example, defining paragraphs, headings, and data tables, or embedding images and videos in the page. CSS is a language of style rules that we use to apply styling our HTML content. For example, setting background colors and fonts, and laying out our content in multiple columns. JavaScript is a scripting language that enables you to create dynamically updating content, controls multimedia, animates images, and pretty much everything else. Okay, not everything else, but it is amazing what you can achieve with a few lines of JavaScript codes. In this video, you will learn on how to include JavaScript code in HTML document. And before that, it is important to know the HTML tags, its file paths, and some basic commands of JavaScript.
So today we're going to talk about HTML tags. So what's an HTML tag? An HTML tag is commonly defined as a set of characters constituting a formatted command for a web page. So at the core of HTML tags, they provide direction of recipes for the visual content that we see on the web. Take note that the following HTML tags will be elaborated in an alphabetical order. So first off, we have the anchor tag. So an anchor tag is used when we create a link. So as you can see, for our syntax, we use the closing bracket href and then insert the supposed link, and don't forget the double quotes, and then the open bracket, and then the word link, and then close the anchor tag. So as you can see in the output, the word link in underline and in blue, you just click that and it will lead you to the actual link that is in the syntax we use, which is Facebook. Next, we have the body tag. So the body tags identify the content of a web page. So a little heads up for everyone of you who are new in using HTML and JavaScript. This is something that you're going to use most often. It's most probably essential in HTML. Next, we have the line break tag. So the line break tag is used in specifying a new line. So as you can see in our syntax over here, this text is broken into two lines in one line of our syntax. But in the output, there are two of them. That's because we put the break tag after the this text and before the is broken into two lines. So in the output, this text and below is broken into two lines. So next we have the button tag. So this is used to create, well, a button. So in this syntax, we have created a simple button, as you can see. So since it's still a simple button, there are no functions assigned to it yet, but the visuals are all there. You can actually press it, but it will lead you to nowhere. Yeah. So the cite tag displays citations, quotes, and statements in italic. So as you can see here in our syntax, very simple. And the output also very simple. The text is in italic. Next is the code tag. So code tags are used to indicate the code of the current website. For example, HTML tags, HTML. And this is the output. Next, we have the call tags. So call tags are what we use to define column properties for table columns. So as you can see in our syntax here, call span equals to call width and then call group. Close that. And then TD for column 1 and column 2. And then we close TR and then close the table tag. And this is the output. I know it doesn't look much like a table, but you can tell that it's a table because you can see the margin. They're like following an invisible line. So unlike in STAMP, the supposed lines in the table of our page cannot be seen, but you can still tell that again that it's a table because of the invisible line that the text is following, which separates them also. So the del tag is used to indicate deleted text. So this is the syntax we use and this is the output. So as you can see in this text or this sentence, there's a certain section of the text that's crossed out or stroked out, and this is really familiar. You're going to see this when you open up Google when you're searching for something. It's usually below the search bar, like suggestions. You'll see this deleted text or crossed out search suggestions. Next, we have the dir tag. So dir tags define directory lists. So as you can see, this is the syntax we use, and this is the output. So this tag is best used for unordered lists that you can put on just bullet point. Next, we have the DL tag. So DL tag defines a definition term. Similar are used to DD tag, and just a DD tag. Next, we have the div tag. So the div tag is a logical section of a web document. So this is the syntax and this is the output. So as you can see, in the syntax we use a header tag 1 for the lines, which explains why in the output the lines are in the bigger text, because the lines is the only quote we specified with the header tag, and the rest is in their normal font. HR tag. So the HR tag draws a horizontal break line. See, so as you can see, this or that. After the this we use the HR tag, before the or that. Now you can see this horizontal break line between them. So two choices of the same result are close bracket HR open bracket or close bracket slash HR open bracket. So you can use either of those two and still get the same result. Input tag. So the input tag defines input fields, checkboxes, and radio buttons. So this is the syntax we use. It's very long. We use the form action tag also, and then we use the input. Here we put the input type, your name. This is similar to some of the previous HTML tags we use. Input type, there's a lot of input type here. We also use the break line tag, and then the checkbox, value, all that.
HTML file path. An HTML file path is used to describe the location of a file in a website folder. File paths are like an address of file for a web browser. We can link any external resource to add in our HTML file with the help of file paths such as images, file, CSS file, JS file, video, etc. The src or href attribute requires an attribute to link any external source to HTML file. Following are the different types to specify file paths. First is image source equals to picture.jpg. It specifies that picture.jpg is located in the same folder as the current page. Second one, image source equals to images slash picture.jpg. It specifies that picture.jpg is located in the images folder in the current folder. The third one, images src equals to slash images slash picture.jpg. It specifies that picture.jpg is located in the images folder at the root of the current web. The fourth one, image source equals to slash picture.jpg. It specifies that picture.jpg is located in the folder one level up from the current folder. File paths are used on web pages to link external files like first, web pages, second, images, third, style sheets, fourth, JavaScript. There are two types of file paths: absolute file paths and relative file paths.
Absolute file paths. Absolute file paths specify full URL address. Example: doc type HTML, HTML body h2 using a full URL file path slash h2 image source equals to https://www.javatpoint.com slash images slash nature 1.jpg. Alt equals to image, style equals to width colon 300px, slash body and slash html. After that, run the code.
Relative file paths. The relative file paths specify a file which is related to the location of current page. The important points for file path. First, always remember to use proper URL or uniform resource locator, file name, image name, else it will not display on the web page. The second one is try to use relative file paths so that your code will be independent of URL.
In HTML documents and web pages, there are two ways to include JavaScript code: the JavaScript code internal inline and JavaScript code external. In internal JavaScript, code is placed in the head and body section of an HTML page.
So JavaScript is applied to HTML page in a similar manner to CSS. So I am using Sublime Text to run our program. First, we need to make a copy of our HTML code. So the first example is the internal JavaScript. JavaScript only needs one friend in the world of HTML, which is the script element. Put the script element just before your closing head tag. And in this part, I will input the JavaScript inside our script element to make the page do something more interesting. After saving our code, we will open this on Google Chrome. So this is our output. So when you click the button, it just say you click the button. And we're done. This is an example of internal JavaScript.
So let's move on to external JavaScript. In external JavaScript, code are stored in separate external file using the .js extension. This is the example of how to deploy JavaScript in the HTML using external JavaScript method. Before that, we need to create first our HTML code. As you can see, I already linked the CSS file. And creating the Click Me button. To apply our external JavaScript code, we need to create a separate file and save it as .js. Don't forget the extension name kay kung ang HTML na ay .html, also ang CSS na ay .css, of course, ang JavaScript na apoy .js. Our goal is kung i-click na to ang click me nga button, mugawas dayon ang you click the button sa ubos. For me, external JavaScript method is better than internal because it's organized, easy ra if naa kay changes sa code, and it helps in easy debugging. Then the external file will be referenced in the HTML file using the syntax of script tag. Inside the quotation mark, we will write the relative path to the JS file. To complete our output, we will create a separate file of CSS or external CSS. And this is our output. Click this and magawas and you click the button.
And that's how internal JavaScript code and external JavaScript code works.